Hi guys. Now this video is going to be part 2 of my revised favorite movie list. And in this video I'm going to be talking about my picks for my all-time favorite movies from numbers 20 to 11. And the third video, the final part 3, will be talking about numbers 10 to 1. Okay? So let's get started. Okay, so starting off the list is a very, very good drama, and one that's also based on a true story. The King's Speech. The King's Speech is basically based on a true story. It's about King George VI, one of the kings of England, and it focuses on his disability of having a speech impediment, and he goes to this therapist played by Jeffrey Rush to help him, and it is a very, very heartbreaking story, a very intriguing film, and honestly one of the best movies that I've ever seen that's based on a true story. Very good acting, very good writing, and I'm not surprised that this won Best Picture, because movies based on true stories typically win Best Picture. But anyway, great movie, very dramatic. Okay, next up is a Clint Eastwood movie that everybody knows him for, and that is Dirty Harry. One of the greatest action/mystery movies I've ever seen. Brilliant movie. And also just so enjoyable and intense to watch. And this is, of course, one of the greatest movies of all time, and one that everybody knows Clint Eastwood for. I mean, this movie is so iconic, it's ridiculous. Especially, his famous line in the movie, "Do you feel lucky, punk?" Everybody has tried to copy off that. Great movie, and really is a reflection of the times. Like in the 70s, there were a lot of crazy crimes and killers going around. So it's kind of realistic too, but very intense, very hardcore, and very enjoyable. Okay, next up is one of the greatest psychological movies I've ever seen, and that is Fight Club. This is my favorite movie of David Fincher's because it has his classic style of great cinematography and great acting. And this movie is basically flawless. The story, the acting, everything is just perfect. And it's also one of those movies that actually keeps you guessing and demands that you have to watch the whole thing because you have to understand it. Because the story to the typical film viewer is kind of confusing, but to a true film fan like me, it's just incredible, the story to this movie. And it bends your mind so much, and that's why it works, because it makes you guess about what's going to happen next. That's why it's so good. And easily Fincher's best movie. This is my favorite of Fincher's movies, and my second favorite is Panic Room. But yeah, awesome. Alright, next up is one of the most iconic movies just ever. Jaws. Easily one of Spielberg's best movies, if not his best. But yeah, just a masterpiece of adventure and suspense, and also comedy. The comedy in this movie is actually hilarious. The comedy mostly comes from Richard Dreyfuss's character, but still, amazing movie, one of the most iconic movies ever. It still makes people afraid to go in the water, so that means it's good. And also, another thing I wanted to touch on, that I think I've touched on before, is how unbelievably realistic the shark looks. And I know it's an animatronic shark, but oh my god. The shark in this movie is 10 times better than any CGI creature just ever. I'll take practical effects over CGI any day. But yeah, awesome movie, intense, and of course has one of the most iconic theme songs ever. Dun 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 dun. That John Williams score. amazing. Yeah. We're gonna need a bigger boat. Awesome. Okay, next up is a 1980s classic movie. The Princess Bride. Just one of the most fun, most heartfelt, most exciting adventure movies I've ever seen. And also, it's so fun to watch, it's so classic, it's timeless, and you can watch it over and over again and never get bored of it. And also, the characters are so interesting, every single one of them. And sure, the story, can be a little sappy at times, with the love thing, but honestly, I just tend to ignore that. I just focus on the fun of it, and that's why it's good. And also, the sword fights in this movie are awesome. Yeah. Pretty damn good. And also, my favorite character of this movie is Inigo Montoya, played by Mandy Patinkin. Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father, prepare to die. One of the most iconic movie lines ever. Alright, next up is one of the most timeless movies just ever. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. You can watch it over and over again and never get bored of it. It's just that timeless. It's fun, it's enjoyable, it's heartwarming, and just one of the greatest movies ever. And also miles better than the Tim Burton remake, which sucked ass. And also, what makes this version better is it's closer to the book. But yeah, awesome. Okay, next up is another 1980s classic, The Goonies. One of the greatest and funniest adventure and comedy movies I've ever seen. And one of the reasons I really like this movie is it has to deal a lot, with pirates and treasure hunting and adventure. When I was a little kid, I used to love that stuff. And I've been watching this ever since I was a little kid, and I never get bored of it. The characters are so funny, the whole situation they're in, it's timeless. I have no problems with it. And my favorite character is probably Mouth, played by, what's his name? What's his name? I forgot his name. Corey Feldman. Yeah, Mouth, played by Corey Feldman. He's my favorite character. He's such a badass. But yeah, hilarious and classic. Okay, next up is one of the greatest Pixar movies ever, and also the best movie out of a trilogy of movies by Pixar. Toy Story 2, in my opinion, the best of the trilogy because it surpassed the original so much. It introduced so many new interesting characters, had better comedy, and just a more interesting story. And if you want to know, personally, my order of the movies goes like this. Toy Story 2, then Toy Story 3, then Toy Story 1. Yeah. Just fan-freaking-tastic. And, yeah. And also, one thing I want to say, they don't need to make a fourth one. Yeah, Pixar's planning on making a fourth Toy Story. That's fucking ridiculous. The trilogy was fine. It just ended at 3. No need to go on. But anyway, yeah, awesome. Okay, next up is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, James Bond movie. Goldfinger. Just absolutely iconic this movie is. And basically took the Bond movies to the next level. That's how awesome it is. And honestly, this is my favorite out of all 23 Bond movies. Yes, 23. Never Say Never Again does not count because it was a remake of Thunderball. It does not count. Anyway, this is my favorite Bond movie because it was the very first one I ever saw. It was the first one my dad ever saw. And it's just so fun and exciting to watch. The action is awesome, the comedy, the acting, all of it. And Connery is easily the best Bond. Now I know Daniel Craig is considered by many to be the best, but in my opinion, like, Daniel Craig is like the second best. Yeah, Connery and Craig are the two best Bonds. All the other Bonds are just shit. But anyway, yeah, just awesome. And also the theme song of this movie, sung by Shirley Bassey, is just iconic. Iconic. That's the only word I can use to describe this movie as a whole. Iconic. Okay, and finally, on the list of my favorite movies from numbers 20 to 11 is The Nightmare Before Christmas. This has been one of my favorite movies for as long as I can remember. It's so fun and so original and just so clever. And I also really like stop motion movies because they're so different. And everything about this movie works. The story, the songs are actually really enjoyable. Danny Elfman's singing voice as Jack Skellington is awesome. And yeah, I've been watching this movie for as long as I can remember. And I was never like scared of it. Because, it might not be for little kids because it does have, creepy imagery. But still, it's awesome. And a classic too. I'll never get tired of this movie. Okay, that concludes my list of favorite movies from numbers 20 to 11. The next video, the final video, will be numbers 10 to 1. Okay? So, see you later. Bye.